him to what? To send me back. He declared that on two different occasions. The first occasion was after the reading of my obituary, and in the second occasion, when he told me to send him back, he told him to send me back, and of course I went back. And then he made a remark that was quite strange and peculiar to me, because I've not been able to decipher it or to understand it, when he said that we need him up here more than they need him down there, to indicate to me that whatever I was doing, or whatever the reasons for sending me back, it was one reason was that I was needed back down here, but I was needed much more up there. Now, I don't know why I would have been needed. I did not enter into heaven. I did not go through the pearly gates, but that was the impression that I got when he said that we need him up here more than we need him down there. And of course, we can stop for this second commercial break, and then I'll get into some more discussions in reference to my odyssey, in reference to coming to some kind of agreement in reference to this. We'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you, and welcome back to the final segment of the show. I think we might have stumbled through it, but I think that what Alana and I have attempted to do is to give you some idea of the traumatic experiences that she and her mother underwent on the 15th of January in 2013 at TriStar Summit Hospital, when they were able to observe me going into a cardiac arrest and losing my pulse and my consciousness and my heartbeat for about 13 minutes. And she and her mother, her grandmother rather, are the only two persons that, in a real sense, that I wanted to be here today, but her grandmother could not be with us today. And we are now talking about something that has been a real thing in terms of my own understanding of life and my own understanding of the mind. Since it happened to me, I often wonder why in the world. I find it really unusual in a sense of being able to talk about this, because it seems that if it had happened to somebody else and these events were a part of their experience, I'm not exactly sure whether I would be a real believer and understand exactly what went on in reference to this. And so I can understand that some people might be somewhat skeptical in reference to this, but I think Alana has already laid out the fact of my death. Now, I also understand that because of this experience, it has given me an opportunity to deal with a particular effort in reference to the resurrection. I had always believed in a resurrection, but I certainly did not believe that I would be a part of any kind of physical resurrection, not only to be resurrected, but sent back into life. Now, I know that some of these things sound strange, and I know that I've convinced my granddaughter to tell her story in reference to it, and if there's any kind of hoax associated with this, I have made her simply a part of this. But to the best of my understanding, the best of my knowledge, and the best of my beings, those were the simple facts of my death and the facts of my resurrection. Now, I have searched entirely throughout the scriptures since that time, and the only thing that I can understand is that I was sent back into life. And I know that that sounds like a strange kind of situation, but I was literally sent back into life, and I believe that it was for the glorification of God and the glorification of his Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I say that because the only other example that I can even think of in terms of a person dying and then coming back into life was the Lazarus story. And when, of course, Lazarus was declared to be dead, Christ did not believe that he was dead. He said that he was simply sleeping. And during the whole controversy in reference to that death, some real questions were raised in reference to the resurrection, because Martha and Mary, two of Lazarus' sisters, believed that Christ had the ability to raise Lazarus from the dead. And in doing so, there's a whole narrative in the Bible dealing with Lazarus' resurrection. It began with the idea that Christ raised when he asked Martha and informed Martha that her brother, whom she believed had been dead for 4 days, would come back into life and he would live again. And she said that she believed in the resurrection, and not only believing in the resurrection, but she believed that at that last day. But Christ responded by saying that he was the resurrection and life. And he who believes in me, though he be dead, shall live. And I took that to mean that there is a resurrection, and something that I'd heard of, but I never had expected to experience that, nor to be alive and to come back to tell the story in reference to what had actually happened. But there was and there is a resurrection, and this is what he told Martha, that he who believes in me shall never die, and he who dies and believes in me shall have eternal life. And it is upon those statements that I have been compelled even to take this instance of dealing with folks that I have known for the last 25 or 30 years, and who I have believed that I was a person of some credibility, some honesty, and whatever. I have taken the opportunity to take this chance of telling you of my experiences. Those are my death experiences. They are my life experiences. And now I am faced with the fact of having to continue life, having seen things so marvelous that it is difficult for me to explain. I haven't been able to understand and to go back into my own experiences and to recount almost everything as vividly as I have been able to live in life. As a matter of fact, I do believe that this was an experience that I had to tell people about. I could not hold it in. I could not keep it to myself. And as I've said to Lana on a number of occasions, if this is a fraud, it is one of the biggest frauds in the world, and that Dr. Haney has somehow dragged her into it, because she has been with me and she has been able to understand some of the problems that I've had to suffer in reference to this. God is good. I could say, and why don't you go on and say some other words in reference to this, Alana?
I would like to share some of my feelings about this traumatic event. I think that it was our faith that saved us, that saved you. I mean, because you could have died that day, but you didn't, and you came back. And I believe that it wasn't just luck. It was our faith. I mean, because we are committed to the church. I sit in the pulpit. You're reverend. I mean, we are a holy family. I mean, that's what saved us. I mean, because I hate to think about this, but what if you didn't believe in the Lord?
You know, one thing that reminds me of, and when you indicated that your grandmother was crying and that pleaded and all of that, that reminds me of what happened during Lazarus' death, because Mary and Martha were both pleading. It was at that one instance when Christ had come back to Bethany in order to deal with the fact of his death, when he had come back to Bethany, Mary came to him and told him that had he been there, that Lazarus would not have died. And for the first time, we get into the scripture where Christ wept. This is the only period, the only sentence, statement in the entire Bible that indicates the weeping of Jesus Christ. In spite of everything that he had gone through, it was this instance where he wept. And when he wept, he determined that it was time for him to what? Call Lazarus back into life. And he asked Mary, he said, where did you place the body? And she said that, Lord, by now he stinketh. And he said, and then he said, roll the stone away. And he prayed to God. And he did that in recognition, because the scripture said that Christ loved Mary and Martha and Lazarus. And I believe that it was, as you indicated, the faith that you and your grandmother had in reference to me, that it was his love for you, his love for your grandmother, and his love for me, that in a real sense, in spite of the objections of St. Peter, that he laid out. He laid out his objection. He said, hey, he's 72 years of age. Lately, I've noticed him becoming quite weary in reference to this. And so let us have him to go stay around. And he said, no, what? Send him back. And through that, and that is my testimony. And that is a testimony that I have fought very hard in terms of making a decision as to whether or not I would say anything in reference to that about it to my audience on this show, because I think that all of them believe that I am a person of great credibility, you see, great honesty, and at the same time I would never tell them or misinform them of anything dealing with our experiences. And I think that you have given me an opportunity to tell that story, and you've done an excellent job in terms of bringing forth the information that we have here. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you at that particular time, because I think that without your grandmother and you pleading for my life, I might not have been sent back. And I want to thank you for and encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.
Have the system to be a fair system for those that are disadvantaged economically or politically or whatever. So absolutely, it's never too late. It's never too late.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Write it down, and I said, when you go home, if you bring down, like I tell you, cable, it's not a need. I have a live-in guest, and they're like, no. You got a snack on? Right. Yes, good for you. You got to exercise? Yes. What about TV? I have a 65-inch TV. If I can show you how many miles on it that I watched it last night. Yeah, all boxes on every TV. When the son walked by, I said, yeah, that shirt because
Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Cooperative Extension Program at Tennessee State University. And we're fortunate to have with us this morning two persons from the Cooperative Extension Program at Tennessee State University, which is part of the College of Agriculture, Human and Natural Resources at that university. Dr. Roy Bullock, who is in charge of leadership at that particular program, and with Dr. Bullock is Dr. Clarity. And Dr. Clarity, of course, we'll have the two of you, Dr. Bullock and Dr. Clarity, starting with you, Dr. Bullock, to give us some information about your background, your education, and your experiences. And then Dr. Clarity will give us the similar kind of information, and we'll have an opportunity to start off the second segment dealing with the topic of the Cooperative Extension Program at Tennessee State University. Let's start with you, Dr. Bullock.
Dr. Haney, first of all, let me say it's a privilege and honor to be here with you. And briefly, I want to give you a little background of myself. I was born and grew up in the Caribbean island, in which I grew up on a small farm. We did everything by hand. We plant by hand, weed by hand, harvest. We sell what we have extra, but we live from that farm. And so farming has been in my blood from day one. My undergraduate program at Loma Linda University in California was in general agriculture, and then I came on to Tennessee State, where I received a master's degree in plant and soil science, and on to the University of Tennessee, received my PhD specialized in chemicals for agricultural production. After I graduated there, I worked for University of Georgia Cooperative Extension Program, and I had statewide responsibility in Georgia for weed management in all crops there. Came back here to Tennessee in '91 with the University of Tennessee and stayed there from '91 to 2000, in which after that I came and joined Tennessee State University. My present role for both universities is to coordinate the small farms program within all 95 counties of Tennessee. And as you may already know, that at least 92% of the farms in Tennessee fall in the category of small farms.
Very good. And Dr. Clarity, why don't you give us some information about your background and education and what eventually brought you to Tennessee State University?
I'll be happy to. I'm a native Nashvilleian, and I attend Tennessee State University, and I have obtained my bachelor's and my master's from Tennessee State. I left there and went to Alabama A&M in Huntsville and got my PhD. In between, I guess when I started my master's program, I worked briefly for what is called Farm Services now. And after graduation from my PhD, I went to Tennessee State and I worked for about 2 years. Then I had the opportunity to be hired by Metro Nashville Public Schools as a high school teacher, vocational ag, and I worked at Antioch High School for about 5 years. Then I had worked 5 years or so for the state of Tennessee in pesticides, and then I'm back here at Tennessee State now.
And so you've had some sojourn going throughout the state of Tennessee, but you are a native of the state of Tennessee.
Yes, I am.
And of course, Dr. Bullock, in looking at your coming to Tennessee State University, how long in terms of years, we've got about a minute before this segment ends, how long in terms of years have you been with the institution?
With Tennessee State University as an employee from 2000 to present, but the total extension program I have 32 years.
32 years. And we've got about a minute before we end this segment for today. But Dr. Bullock, you were with us at an earlier time, and I think I recall that you talked about the goats
Yes.
at Tennessee State University, at goat farming, and et cetera. And we were intrigued by your discussion in reference to it. And so when we come back during the second segment, Dr. Clarity, we're going to have you. We understand that you are proficient in terms of agricultural production and et cetera. We're going to have you to talk about some of your experiences dealing with the agricultural production. And of course, Dr. Bullock is going to give us some information about that ever-growing goat herd that they have at the back of the campus, and then we'll be able to sort of wrap this program up. But that's essentially what we wanted to try to do, to have the two of you and to sort of showcase the College of Agriculture, Human and Natural Sciences, as well as the Cooperative Extension Program at Tennessee State University. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Doctors Bullock and Clardy about some of the challenges that they will have to face in the Cooperative Education Department at Tennessee State University. And Dr. Clardy has agreed to give us some information relative to some of the things that she is now involved in at Tennessee State University, dealing with your particular area of interest.
Okay, my area of expertise is in ornamental horticulture, and I do various programs in ornamental horticulture, but one of the programs that we have going now is a community garden. The community garden started in 2011, and we had about 58 plots that were 30 by 30 plots. Everybody's turned out. We sold the plots, and we have a mixture of people from the community. We have extension, not extension, but TSU personnel, and we have families, we have single people, we have all ages of people that are involved in the community garden. The community garden moved to another location, but it's still down on the campus of Tennessee State, and now we have 60 plots this time, but we've kind of downsized to about 20 to 25, and we have people that take part in the gardening. They're producing their own fruits and vegetables, and the whole initiative with this was healthy eating. As you know that we have a problem with obesity in the state of Tennessee and in the United States. So therefore we're just trying to get people to grow their own food and become more conscious of what they're eating and what they're putting in their mouth. It was really interesting because we ended up doing surveys with a lot of people, and a lot of people not only grew their fruits and vegetables, but they met a lot of people and became friends. Also, we have had some people to submit that they save $500 to $600 a year by growing their own fruits and vegetables. So that's one of the initiatives I work with. Another initiative I work with is an alternative agriculture, and in growing I'm looking at growing herbs, ornamental peppers, peppers that you eat, as an alternative method for people to supplement their income.
And so this is really a program that is very, very beneficial for the community, and it has some impact really up on some of the major problems that you find within the community itself. And so you're saying that you tried to downsize that program. What, you don't have enough land, or what?
No, what happened was we wanted to implement the area, the square foot of the area changed. So we were moved to an area that was gated, because what happened was we had a lot of problems with people. It is a community garden, but it's a paid-for community garden. So we had some problems with people walking in off the street trying to harvest.
Take advantage of your garden.
Trying to harvest a lot of the people's
It's literally a community garden for them.
Yeah, it became a community garden for them. So we put it in an area that's now fenced in. And so when we put it in an area that was fenced in, we had to downsize the plots a little bit.
Okay. Dr. Bullock, what about you? What are some of the things that you're involved in outside of the goats?
Well, Dr. Haney, here under the leadership of Dr. Reddy, who's our dean, and our associate dean, Dr. Latif Lagari, we are very fortunate to have an extension program here that we have here at Tennessee State University. We are recognized nationally and internationally. I say international because recently I was invited to go to South Africa to help them at the University of Fort Hare build an extension program like we have here. we also were recognized by USDA, in which September of last year, we host the 6th National Small Farms Conference. So my responsibility serves as to provide leadership for campus faculty, our extension agents that we have, almost getting into about 50 counties. We work very closely with the University of Tennessee, all the USDA agency, such as with TDA, Farm Bureau. These are our partners. And so we are not trying to build this program by ourselves. We are pulling in collaborators, and our programs is really mushrooming across the state. We have agents in eastern part of the state, the western, northern, and southern. So we are branching out throughout all regions of Tennessee. And the Small Farms program is really, at one time, it was somewhat downsizing, but farmers now are looking at value added.
Now, what do you mean when you say value added?
Like the example, produce strawberries. Instead of just selling strawberries for the fresh market, they're making strawberry jellies. They're blending dry strawberries in fruit mix, which can stay on the shelf for weeks and months. So, and this goes like for peaches, they go for apples. Many of the things we're growing, they're adding value to it. So we're not getting a lot of wastage. So we see that direction now. And to help that, we are taking quite a bit of leadership in helping the forming small farm cooperatives across Tennessee, so that farmers can sell and pool their produce into one location rather than selling it by the bushels.
Now, Dr. Clarity, when you think in terms of what you're doing, what impact do you think that this really has upon your population, the population that you're trying to serve?
I think the population we're trying to serve is that, we're trying to teach people to eat better. And, in society, and it's a restaurant on every corner. So a lot of times we don't take the time to cook. And, with America trying to become more health conscious, this is a good idea to get people. And, I found that people want to get their hands dirty. They can't wait to get into the garden. And so it's been a popular program. We sell out of the plots. I think this year, not only did we had some larger plots, but we had some half-size plots. So we tried to get people with their kids, their families, and single parents and older people to come in and garden and just get their hands dirty.
It's a real community kind of activity that brings people together.
It really does. It
not
really
only
does.
does it deal with the health of the body, but it also, I would imagine, is helpful in terms of the mind, their relationship.
And plus, it's a good social outlet for a lot of people.
Good. That's very good. And of course, Dr. Bullock, when we come back, we'll have 10 minutes for this final segment. And I think I've told everybody about the goats. And are you still in charge of the goats at Tennessee State, the area dealing with the goats at Tennessee State University?
Yes, we have quite a few scientists that are handling that program.
Okay, so and so when we come back, we'll have 10 minutes for the two of you to deal with these areas. And when we come back, we'll go directly to you. And I want you to talk about for 4 or 5 minutes about some of the activities that's going on in reference to the farm. I know you have more than goats out there, but I say that primarily because they're so numerous. You see them all over every place. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you, and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. Roy Bullock and Dr. Clarity from Tennessee State University. the extension program or the cooperative exchange or the cooperative extension program at Tennessee State University, and they're giving us some excellent information in reference to some of the programs and some of the activities that are carried on in the College of Agriculture, Science, Natural, and what other kind of science? Natural science and human sciences. And Dr. Bullock, let's open up with having you to give us some information in reference to some of the products that you are producing at Tennessee State University, and especially some of the animal products and what you're doing in regard to that.
Sure. Thank you very much. You know, in 2000, when I came and joined the Tennessee State University, there was non-exist goat program here in Tennessee. There are a few goats scattered here and there throughout Tennessee. And there are two people that we credit very heavily for this program. That's Richard Browning, who does the research and the breeding program at Tennessee State University, and Dr. Ann Peischel, who does the outreach and educational program across the state. At one time, Tennesseans didn't want to eat goat. But now, it's one of the fastest growing commodities in the state of Tennessee, from west to east, all across the different counties. As you may recall, the 2010 flood, we lost all our goat program, both on the main campus and on the Ashland City Research Center. However, those programs have been rebuilt. And the research information that is produced on campus here is used across the state in feed and breeds. And the person who takes that out there to the folks across the state, businesses, which support businesses for producing feeds, it's a program that just came from almost nowhere to one of the biggest. In addition to the things that we have in our research facility, we are initiating projects like on the just decaf biofuels production. We are also heavily into the organics. We also have in McMinnville one of the biggest nursery stations in the whole southeast that do research and nursery crops there. We at the Ashland City and the Cheatham County Farm, we have peaches and apples, blackberries, blueberries that we teach farmers how to produce these crops. And I could go on, and Dr. Claudia has the community garden here, which again, at one time was unheard of. Now she has made this program into one of the biggest things spreading across the state of Tennessee. Very much supplement nutrition to a lot of families, and a lot of habit to get outside and do things. So we are presently at Tennessee State University in the process of building a monstrous biotech building to do a lot of lab work. This should be opened up probably the latter part of this year. So we are very, very proud under the leadership that Tennessee State is providing for our farmers, our researchers, and commodity producers across the state.
Dr. Clarity, let's have you to talk about some things that perhaps you have not had an opportunity to talk about today, and sort of give you an opportunity to say make some statements in reference to some of the programs that you think and some of the directions you think that you're going in.
Well, the directions that we're kind of going in is that Tennessee State has been known for helping small minority producers to try to springboard their farms to larger farms. So one of the things we looked at is I grow like peppers, and so we will be branching out this year. I have 2 farmers that have agreed to grow these peppers on their farm, and we're going to try to help them supplement their income. And then that way, by that, we put more money into the community. We have a training program that we're going to have with it. It'll be a couple of days training for each farmer, and they will receive the plant, they'll put them out, and then all I ask them to do is to record the data for the numbers of peppers that come off each plant and how much they weighed and how much they sold them for. So that's one of the programs that we're looking at right now. Last year and this year we were fortunate enough to have an outreach program. We had it in Nashville the first year, we had it in Murfreesboro the second year, where we had over maybe 150 farmers statewide to come in and have a day and a half of total training on how to grow their business, how to market. So we're just trying to help the small producer the best way we can.
Dr. Bullock, I understand that very soon Tennessee State University has another conference. I think this might be one of an annual conference dealing with farmers that come from different places. Why don't you take a few minutes to explain exactly what the purpose of that conference is and how you're trying to bring all of these farmers across the state together?
Each year, going back to 2003, we started our annual Small Farm Expo, and we're up to number 9 this year. It's going to be held on the main campus. This is where we're bringing all the constituents, farmers from across the state, into one location, and we have demonstrations. And again, this program is going to be on July 18th of this year, and I hope that everyone that is listening to this program will put that date down, July 18. You have scientists showing off their research, what they're doing. You have all the new developments. We'll have a little engine there that's going to produce biofuels, which is one of the new things. So we have the GOAT program that's going to be there. We're going to have a youth track. So it's an opportunity for everybody to get together, have a good time, have educational programs, get to know each other, and move on, take that information back to their counties and see how they can use it to help advance their businesses out there.
Also, I think that one of the things that I've noticed on the campus of Tennessee State University dealing with the College of Agriculture and et cetera, has been the increase in the number of buildings. Perhaps the two of you can make some statements in reference to all the building that's going on in that area and how you think it might benefit the institution. You want to make some statements in reference to that, Claire?
Oh, yes. We are building, like Dr. Bullock said, we're in the midst of building a biotech. We have an ag technology building, and it's really good because it seats about 50 people, and it's like a stadium where you can end up doing your presentation. So we have a lot of classroom. They've done classroom maintenance. We have a lot of smart classrooms. They've come in and they've redone the lab. So it's just really changing.
And it's a challenge, I would imagine, Dr. Bullock, in order to keep everybody involved in it.
Yes, but you know, what you call empowerment leadership. These folks, they know what they're doing. You know, we have a landscape studio, and under Dr. Reddy's leadership, we have increased our faculty, PhD faculty, tremendously. Each one have specific assigned responsibilities, and we're moving into areas that previously we have not had the faculty to support those areas. So we have a campus faculty, which is a combination of teaching, research, and extension. And then we have agents, which include family and consumer sciences, agricultural agents, and 4-H agents in various counties across Tennessee. So there's no stopping to what the Corporate Extension is doing.
Finally, last half minute we have here, what would you say to people who might be interested in what you're doing at Tennessee State University? Half a minute.
Oh, if anybody would like to participate in the community garden, just give me a call at 963-4887. We have about 5 or 6 plots left. We're always ready to help you in any way that you can, if you have community gardens, individual gardens, and school gardens.
Very good. And Dr. Bullock, last minute. I have 3 seconds.
All I can say, Dr. Haney, is that we are being looked at from nationally as to the progress we are making here, and a lot of institution and modeling after what we have.
Very good. And let me thank the two of you, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Bill Allen case and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. And we're fortunate to have with us members of the NAACP to talk about one of the most important criminal cases in Nashville over the last many, many years. Our first guest is Dr. Charles Kimbrough, also a longtime member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Ms. Tasha Thompson, another member of the NAACP, and Pastor Kay Walker, who is also a frequent guest on this show dealing with a whole variety of problems and challenges. And all three are here this morning to talk about Bill Allen and the Bill Allen case. Dr. Kimbrough, let's start with you by having you to give us some information in terms of the Bill Allen case itself. Take a couple of minutes of doing that, and then we'll move on to Ms. Thompson and Pastor Walker in reference to this case. When we talk about the Bill Allen case, and what are we talking about in the NAACP?
We are talking about a case to make, if you summarize it by saying the most outstanding case where there was very little justice done and too many acts of injustice during a criminal case. Bill Allen, I talked with him maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and thinking at that time that I had not known him as long as I had, but he reminded me that as early as 1973, before I was president of the Nashville branch of the NAACP, I had visited the prison, and he told me, he said, no, Dr. Kimbrough, you knew me earlier than when after I came off the run, so to speak, because you were trying to get an NAACP chapter started in the prison, and so I remembered that. But what was so outstanding about it is that Bill Allen has been making a plea through appeals and what have you in the as a result of this act that took place in January the 16th, 1968, in the death of 2 policemen.
Very good. Now, Ms. Thompson, you're rather new to the Bill Allen case. Why don't you talk about your relationship with this case and the NAACP itself?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Haney, for having us on this program. I first became involved with the Bill Allen case through another pastor, the pastor of my church, he was friends with Dr. Kimbrough, and he told me about the Bill Allen case because of my history in the media and passion for social justice. And to be honest, I was a little hesitant to get involved with the case at first because it is controversial because of the facts involved. But when I started looking over the details of the case, I said I just had to learn more. So I went and I met Bill Allen. I went to the prison and met Bill Allen and talked to him and got his side of the story. And once I met him and I read the books, I just knew it was something that I had to be involved in and help out in any way that I can. I work with the NAACP as well. I'm with the PR and media with the NAACP. And I've been helping out with social media and just trying to get the word out. And we're really putting forth several more initiatives so that the public can get a chance to hear Bill's side of the story, because I don't believe that they've had the opportunity to hear Bill's side of the story, and I believe that that will make a huge difference when they do that through social media.
And Pastor Walker, of course, we've got about a minute and a half in this segment, and when we come back, we'll start with you doing that second segment. But give us some statements in terms of your involvement with the NAACP as well as the Bill Allen case. Take about a minute to do that, and then we'll start with you when we come back doing the second segment.
All right, Dr. Haney, well, I'm involved with NAACP as a co-chair of the Legal Redress Committee. Of course, I've always had a great interest in social justice and all the injustices and things that are taking place in our society that we're living in. So it's just a proper fit for me, you know. So I got involved with the NAACP about a year ago, and been trying to work with them ever since. In terms of the Bill Allen situation, I met Bill back in 1999 when I went out to River Bend for a speaking engagement with an inmate organization at the time. And I met this gentleman, and I say that sincerely when I say I met this gentleman, because that's how he presented himself to me.